It's Dr. Tennant's Verbal Highs. Let's start the show with Lewis Tennant. Here we go. Guests and interviews that you're looking for with creators, innovators, and so much more. For all episodes and further info, verbalhighs.com is the place to go.
Welcome to Dr. Tennant's Verbal Highs, a podcast podcasted from Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland, New Zealand. My name is Lewis. I'm the host of the show. If you're new here, kia ora. If you are a return suspect, then you probably know we're up to episode 93. Lockdown, not just lockdown and COVID, but for wider reasons and in a wider period. If you actually went and looked at the timeline of episodes on my webpage, verbalhighs.com, you'd see that there was a bit of a lull for a while. I won't get into broader reasons why, but kind of we're back on the juice again, back on the juice. And so, as I say, 93, but I have on my whiteboard installed in the room I'm in to make myself feel even more organised than I am, I have a timeline for getting up to 100 episodes by the 27th or 28th of December. I've only got one guest lined up after this, though, so if you have any suggestions or hookups or connects, verbalhighs at Gmail, and just feel free to drop me a line about anything anyway, anytime. Any feedback welcome. This is a passion project. So my guest was Stephen Hamer, aka Tipene, a rapper that I discovered. I was thinking about this, like, I realised after we chatted that, because I used to be so immersed in listening to music and finding new music, etc., etc. And to be honest, podcasts probably take up about 95% of my listening, probably more these days. Anyway, so I was drawn, like a lot of people who've discovered him, I'm guessing, to a single from quite a few years back now called West Side Hoary. My pick for one of the best names for a New Zealand hip-hop tune ever. And it is a great tune. But as we talk about in the episode, it's got this pop sensibility to it, or you know, it's got a feel and a sound to it that will have been part of the reason it's kind of connected to so many people. But I realised, like, I kind of went to him kind of knowing, like, if you like, who's an artist, like, if it were Bob Marley, like, I just, had listened to that, what was that compilation called? Legend or whatever? All the smash hits. So it's like I'd heard Buffalo Soldier, great tune. But some of the stuff he played me at the end has got me way deeper into his tune. So I've included one of those tracks at the end, but I must point out that my podcast is in like really low res mono. So certainly the tune will sound audible and stuff, but it won't have the stereo hit that I was given a slap with before I left his studio the night we recorded in glorious stereo and a big chunky WAV file. But it'll give you a taste. But if you want to hear more of his music, he tells me the best place for you to go is Spotify. Enough said. We also talked about if certain key New Zealand rappers were All Blacks. Well, he schooled me. Great. It's a great moment. Great moment. We talked about Prince Tuiteka. We talked about the Waiata Māori Music Awards, of which he was a recipient of, I think, Best Urban Artist last year. Billy T came up in the same breath as Prince Tuiteka. We talked about growing up in Flaxmere. A bunch of stuff. And what I really like, I always say, I love doing all of these episodes. It would be weird if I didn't, because as I say, it's a passion project. But what I liked about this one was we didn't know each other from Adam when we started, and I actually turned up to the studio 9-10 at night, one of the later ones I've done. Felt like somewhere I should be picking up a package, to be honest. No such luck. And it was actually the studio for Potama Music Studio, which we talk about as well, a youth work initiative that Tipene is involved with. Look, I was about to go into that, but what's the point in having a conversation if you don't hear it play out in said conversation? But anyway, it took I reckon it's about 10 minutes in, you'll hear we kind of find our footing with each other. And then it definitely the rhythm and the kind of depth and openness of the conversation happens about then. Why don't I just edit out the first 10 minutes when that happens, which it often does? Most of them I've noticed in some way or another kind of kick into gear 10, 15 minutes in. Well, it's because to me, that's part of listening to a conversational podcast, yeah? You listen to the whole conversation, not a kind of edited highlights reel. And you know, part of the appeal for me anyway is kind of hearing those moments and so on. So yeah, talked a lot about the episode today, which is unusual. I don't really have much else to report on. It's feeling like the better end of 2020 is upon us. It's daylight savings. I started going to the gym. Students are kind of turning up to class. Had 3 today, which was awesome out of 28. It's not really awesome when that happens. It's a bit of a bummer, but it is what it is. I think lockdown really affected them. You know, people's rhythms are out. I think a lot of people have got like parents, maybe more older parents. That, you know, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of unknowns this year, and there's a lot of like, you know, don't ask, just try and give people the best support you can. That sounds like a good meditation for life in general, doesn't it? Yes. Okay, there's 92 other shows at verbalhighs.com. There is Verbal Highs podcast on Facebook. If you could like there, that's great. More numbers, the better. That's currency these days, eh? And also it's a way you can drop me a line. Verbal Highs on Twitter. I mainly just up eps there, but I'm contactable there as well. Again, if you know a guest, give me a holler. I have a donate button. I don't really talk about it too much, but it is coming up to the time where I renew the website again, which is a few $100s each year. So if you could drop a few bucks there, that'd be great. In a Patreon style, you know what I mean? Like, so even if it's a small amount and a bunch of you do that, that would be a real help. Okay, enjoy the episode, and all going well. We'll have another 6 or 7, oh man, up by the end of the year. Who should be episode 100? Who should be episode 100?
Verbal high straight down from up above.
How's your mic? How's your headphone volume? Oh, you don't. soon find out.
Oh wow.
What's that?
Yeah, yep.
Sounds good, eh?
Sounds real good.
They flash. Put a bit of compression on that at the end. Why won't this download? Oh no. Oh no. That's weird.
Do I come like right up here?
Yeah, if you want to.
Nah,
you're a rapper, bro. You're obliged
we'll go right
to.
Here. We'll go
so
right
we're
here.
gonna go like we're gonna do an interview, not looking at each other.
Wow, I can't say I've done that before.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll look at my phone, and
I'm just gonna turn mine off. So.
Cool.
I get the bing bong.
Oh yeah,
shit.
That's right. Thanks, man. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Turn that off as well. Boom. Look at that. You know actually where I want to start, because it's funny when you're saying, oh, you did your research, that's good, is I assumed that Tipene was part of your birth name, but it's not. So where does that, where does your handle come from?
So the name Tipene, my birth name is Stephen.
Yeah.
And Tipene is Māori for Stephen.
Ah, of course.
Yeah, but
that's simple.
But yeah, that's simple. But I was named after my big sister. Named me after her high school crush that she had at the time.
Yeah.
And she liked this fella, and she said, "Oh, I'm gonna name him Stephen." Yeah. So funny, because about 5 years ago, she seen that same dude. And
I was going to say, did she have any success?
Well, no, she didn't. She just had a crush, but she saw that dude like 5-10 years ago, and he's apparently fat and ugly now. So,
so you're carrying the good. You've got the good fight end of it now.
Yeah. But Tipene kind of came from Kohanga, so
right.
Kohanga Reo, where we went there, and my nannies didn't call me Stephen; they called me Tipene. So I responded to that. And, you grew into that. It wasn't until I had to get a license when I found out my name was Stephen.
Oh,
so,
really?
Well,
right. So, yeah, right.
I had a couple nicknames.
So, for all intents and purposes, that's your name. Yeah, I got it. Unless you got a passport or a license or whatever. So, I said we kind of started at the beginning, man. You're from the East Coast. You're from the Hawke's Bay. And talk about Flaxman, man. It's quite unique, eh? Because it's like, I was thinking about it, it's sort of on its own island in a lot of ways, eh? It doesn't have a main road in or out as such like other places.
Yeah, for sure. It's not on the way there anywhere. It's definitely on its own bazaar. Flaxmere, I would say it's more of a rural town or
Yeah.
a country town than a city town. Hastings is just up the road, but even Hastings is not much of a city. It's kind of just you got more shops.
Yeah.
But Flaxmere, surrounded by orchards, things like that. High Pacific Island Māori community.
Yeah.
And all the rest that comes with it.
Growing on up, like you said, you're late 30s, so you're kind of a 90s kid?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, because I'm sort of 80s, just a few years older, you know?
Yeah. I think musically definitely influenced by the 90s more so.
Yeah.
But then grew up on all sorts, man. The music I listened to are my parents. Lionel Richie's, the Prince Tuiteka, the High Marks and Commodores and all of that. But in terms of the scene itself and influence on me, definitely 90s R&B, hip-hop, still the best.
Was that like the soundtrack to school in Hastings? Because in my era, I've talked about other episodes about this. Like, I mean, this is pretty like, this is generalising, right? But it was kind of like, there was pop, there was like the music on the radio, and then there was like the rap guys and the metal guys.
Yep.
Were there a lot of people into hip-hop? Or was it that kind of like tribal thing of, were there the metal hits?
Bro, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
Bone Thugs, man. Bone
Yeah.
Thugs was a huge one, I think, in general. It was Bone Thugs or Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
Growing up, because there were groups that came and went. But in terms of rap and some, the Stayers, Wu-Tang, I mean, they're still going strong. But Bone Thugs, I was a Bone Thug, man. Why? I think it's more the melodic type raps, that sort of really made me go, oh, man, that's quite cool,
There was a couple of videos of these I came across before I knew much about them years ago. Yeah, I just watched them over and over and just be like, those harmonies in that, they're such quite a unique sound, but then like hearing like, I know Goody Mob aren't quite the same, but I didn't know a lot about that kind of sound then. That's quite hardcore rap for high school, bro. Wu-Tang or...
Oh, bro, there was still NWA, Eazy-E and all of that, so it was kind of like I wouldn't say a toned-down version, but, you couldn't play Eazy-E's album out loud because, everyone would get offended. But I always had it on my beat tape, yeah.
So what was it like, were people ciphering, and or was it like, were you one of the only people, like, I assume you were starting to, like, write rhymes on the back of your books and stuff back then, or was there a bunch of you, or were you kind of like the outlier?
Not publicly.
Yeah.
I don't think publicly, because, it's that tall poppy syndrome. No one wants to be too cool.
But were there other people who wanted to rap
yes,
at
definitely,
high school?
Definitely. There were. But we all knew who each other were. It wasn't like we went and answered talent questions and any of that sort of stuff, which we've always talked about and never quite did. Maybe things would have turned out a little bit different if we did, but I think in my circles there were a lot of MCs, a lot of rappers, and singers as well. There weren't many beat makers. That was the struggle.
Well, man, back then in New Zealand, like, it was way harder to get hold of gear, man. Like,
man.
Even in the big cities, like, I talked to Tere Moana about that when I had her on. Like, she was one of the first people who brought, a good setup in New Zealand. And, it was odd. I mean, the late 90s, like, I remember, like, it was buzzy when I knew someone who had a CD burner, let alone...
Straight up.
let alone something to make tunes on.
Now it's a buzz out if someone's got a CD. Like, hey,
my last guest came over and gave me one. I'm like, I've got a CD player in my car, bro. You don't know how much that album is going to get listened to. That's my last guest. Yeah. So, like, with that, I find that, like, a lot of people... There's this thing that happens, I reckon, with kids going into adulthood, and I find it... I mean, I know that life gets in the way and stuff, but some people just drop that stuff at a certain age and kind of, like, grow up and get a haircut and all of that. How many others of your contemporaries at high school kind of carried on with it? Have you got people, people who are still rapping? And
I've got a core group of about 3 that still rap, but still the same way, not publicly.
Yeah,
I've got
some of those guys are often the illest, those underground.
Straight up,
my
bro Waka and Zombeats, and some of the dudes that they don't look like they make music, but they bloody do, and we've just got a relationship where we create something in the same space, and if I go to use it, then they just pretty much like, yeah, man, I made that for you.
Beat makers.
Well, beat makers, but rhymers as well.
Yeah. Because you said, you've done your research. That's good. Because in 1999, you were in Tribal Syndicate with the fellow you mentioned, right?
Yep.
But was he a rapper back then rather than...
He was.
Because he's still got beats on your new album, right?
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
So Waka, one of the things I struggled with as an MC, what was a challenge, was freestyle rhyming, impromptu rhyming off the top. And I had no idea. I knew how to write a rhyme.
Yeah.
But this Waka was the one that really kind of pushed that out of me, kind of squished it. And it's that kind of ego thing too, when people don't want to say something, it's not fire, and they might get judged, and might make a mistake, and all those kinds of things. It didn't really exist in that circle with the bro, because he was just one of those dudes that were just. He was a crafty dude,
Is he still in the Bay?
Yeah, no, he's actually up here in Auckland. Yeah. I was just talking to him.
Cool.
But we got some stuff on the new album as well. We're working on some new music. I think if I was to say if there was someone that I sparred with, like a fighter would, Waka would be the one, most definitely.
How's this, man? Like, so you must know, if you got into freestyle, you must know Supernat, right? Supernatural.
You have to.
Okay. What am I dealing with here? Okay, I'm saying that to you. So I was thinking, like, that's the freestyle thing that fascinates me, and like, I'm not trying to take away from this, like, don't take this the wrong way, but to me, he's one of the only ones who truly like freestyles. Like, what is it, man? Is it a combo of kind of like pre-learned stuff, or did you ever get to that? This isn't on you. I'm meaning that 98% of freestylers I've seen, they have, you have stuff prepped.
I think that the gift that you're talking about, if we're speaking on Supernat, as he can contextualize it to the situation that he's in right in that moment. So, in my experience, I'm not saying it's his, but in my experience, you have an arsenal of words.
Yeah.
You have an arsenal of words that link with other words that link with other words.
Yeah.
And depending on the context and where you are at that particular moment.
Yeah.
Just think about it like a drop-down menu.
Yeah.
Like if you had a word like protocol. You know, then you'd have another one, know-it-all, flow is raw.
Wow.
But...
It's after 9 p.m. I can't rhyme anything with protocol, bro.
But still, you'd have to find a way to link them to that time, that particular time.
To that space, to the people you're battling with, to like all of that. There's other thing. It's funny you're saying you got an arsenal of words. Like I remember in that doco, I can't remember the doco. Freestyling, the art of rhyme. That doco.
I know the one. Yeah.
He basically learnt the dictionary like the Quran or something like. Most words. This is weird, bro. This is not where I meant to go at all, but that's what a convo's about. It's interesting. Yeah.
Poured it all.
So, from there, so that's 2000. Then there's a sort of a jump to about 2012 in terms of what I could find out about you.
Sure.
And that's when you released a kind of a like mixtape version of the album now, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah.
In that first 10 years of the I guess this millennium, were you just building your craft, and like did you stick at rhyming and rap and hip hop and
I definitely did. Anyone that knows me, like whether I was in the freezing works or in the apple sheds or in the playing rugby, I was always rhyming. Like it was just a part of me. You know? I'll be rhyming things just. It got annoying for some of my family members.
I was going to say probably at the freezing works too.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, to be fair, you're doing a robotic job, so any kind of thing that made you not think about being a robot was kind of encouraged.
Yeah.
So, the brain wanted quite a lot, and I wrote a lot of songs with on the chain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, is the works still open down there?
Yeah. The works, they're still open. Only just, though.
I was going to say, like, sorry to cut you off, man, but like a lot of New Zealand's newer woes are like other places where all of that stuff shut down years ago. So I know there's like not a lot of options for employment, but I worry for somewhere like Flaxmere or just provincial New Zealand, if something like that goes. What do you mean hanging on? What are they changing it? Are they moving it to somewhere else? Or
well, the last I seen was They had a boning room, so I worked in the last one. I worked in the lamb boning room.
Yeah,
and they had got this pretty much this robot. To do the same job. Right, they bought one robot. They just invested in this robot, And it could do everything a human could do.
Yeah.
Didn't have no brakes. It didn't have no injuries.
Put a bit of oil in the top of it.
It didn't have no issues from home that it was bringing to work. It didn't spit on the ground.
Yeah.
All these things. And right then when I saw that, I was like, it's time to move on, because these dudes, once these dudes start coming in, we're going to have no use for it.
I like the way you refer to it like it's sentient, you know?
Yeah.
That fella with the one eye and the arm.
The bro, you know? You didn't have to look far to see, hey, man, we need to be thinking about using our brains a bit more and using our talents. And
I get it, man.
Gifts, man.
It's like, bro, there's so many levels, as I say, to like different parts of New Zealand and the struggles they face. But like now you're out of there, because some people, like my great uncle before he had an accident, would have been a lifer at the freezing works.
Yeah.
Must have been pretty fucking shit work. Like,
for me, because I'm a physical dude, like you know, rugby, working on the farm, you know, duck shooting was kind of like the pastime, and you know, anything physical was a good thing. So the meat works was a cool way that you could have a knife and not get, you know, arrested for it. You could chop things up, a bit of blood, you know.
And like think about, you know, verses and lines and what rhymes with protocol.
Well, I guess, but
I wasn't, by the way there, I didn't mean, oh, that's a shit job. Not at all. Quite the opposite. I meant, I just was acknowledging that that's a tough road, man. If you end up doing that job, you're doing that job as a lifer, which a lot of people do.
It's tough, man. It's tough. I talk to a lot of my friends. They're still my good friends.
Yeah.
In the meatworks about, you know, hey, man, have you thought about any sort of end game for yourself?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them didn't have no idea. They just kind of said, "No, this is me. This is the end of the road for me." And some of them were only like in their late 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Man, this has got to be a state of mind."
Yeah.
You know, when I told them I was going to do music and I'm going to release some music on the radio and do these shows, and they were like, "How are you going to do that?"
Yeah. How did you do that? How did it start?
Well, man.
So you, aside from the I'm going to do this, great start. It's always a good place to start. I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Well,
what happened after that?
I didn't actually know what to do.
Yeah.
I just said, well, this is what my heart wants to do.
Yeah.
Basically, my mum got sick. This is actually when it started getting real, because I was always rapping. I was always making music, doing shows, whatever, but only locally.
Yeah.
When she got sick with cancer, you know, we had to. We were stuck financially, quite bad.
Because you're a big immediate family, right?
Huge immediate family, but because we're a bit of mixed lollies everywhere, there's 13 of us. Yeah. You know, in our immediate group, I was the go-to, you know. Yeah. So I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Can't do this on a meatworks wage, because I don't know if you ever paid for a tangi before, but it ain't cheap when you've got a family as big as mine. Yeah. And I was like, whoa. Okay, so Mum was still around at the time, and I thought, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? I spoke to my wife, and she was just like, man, I don't really know. I mean, all these people at the house, it was hectic.
Yeah. When's this?
This is in Hastings.
No, when, right? Sorry, mate.
This was 2011.
Oh, yeah, so we're up to...
Yeah, we're around that...
Yeah. That period where I asked you about the change on over,
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So I thought, man, I'm going to make a CD. I'm going to put some songs in it. Yeah. That was my great idea. My mum always encouraged me to do music. Yeah. She every time I chose to do something else, she said, you should be doing music. And I didn't really believe myself at the time. But anyway, I thought, well, I'm just going to do what Mum's always told me to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So I made the CD. I heard about this thing called the Hip Hop Summit. Yeah, that was actually in Manuko that year. Yeah. Johnny Singala and I can't remember the other lady's name, Queen Shirley. Yeah, they were organising it, and I was like, man, I'm going to go to that, because I had been to one previously when Severe and them were running them, and they were huge. And I was like,
they were huge for a while, man.
I was well, I need to get on that place, because if I got on that stage, then I'd be able to reach all these people, and hopefully sell these CDs that I made, you know, for Koha. And that was the first EP called Tautoko. Yeah. So basically, I came up, and long story short, I didn't realise you had to register to be on that show. Yeah. I didn't register. I just drove up, and I thought, oh, can I jump up? And they were like, oh no, you can't. Yeah. I was like, oh, what?
Did you do a Flavor Flav? You know, the bum rush.
Well, you know, like hip hop, man, I love it. And down home, there isn't a lot of really mature hip hop. It's a lot of quite green, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So to actually see people that lived and breathed hip hop was buzzy for me. So
and who are like doing the business, the music business side of things as well.
Yeah. So,
where all the dots connect.
Yeah. So Severe was there, DLT was there, Professor, rest in love, my bro, was there. Dan Tippett and all those dudes were there. Oscar, sorry, not Oscar.
Otis,
Slave, and I was like, man, I know these dudes.
Yeah.
Anyway, King Caps, all those. Anyway, came to jumping on a stage, and there was a cipher that broke out. First sort of cipher I'd seen for ages, like, because ciphers are back in Flaxmere. But I saw an actual real cipher, and I was like, oh, mean. So I gravitated towards it.
Yeah.
And it was a huge circle, must have been about 20 rappers. Anyway, it came to me, I did my thing after the thing sort of broke up. So a couple of guys said, man, when are you up? Are you on the stage today? I was like, nah, man. And they're like, what? How come you're not on the stage? And I'm like, oh, man, I didn't know you had to register. They're like, where you from? I was like, Flaxmere. And they were like, where the hell is that? Because they were all Auckland dudes.
Yeah.
Anyway, this dude, his name's True Sleep.
Yeah.
He's a OG everything, man. He's four elements guy.
True Sleep.
That's
a good name.
Lee, man.
Oh, True Sleep.
Yeah. Everyone in the hip hop scene knows this dude, bro. And he actually gave me a spot, bro.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, to jump up.
Based on the cipher.
Well, I guess so.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But
so you what you were doing spoke for itself instead of registering.
Kind of thing, yeah. I kind of knew the dude, but yeah, for him to do that, I thought, wow, that's amazing. So I jumped up, did my raps, sold some CDs, and that's kind of how I got around, But
then the thing with the story with your mother, you're doing a fundraiser for her.
Yeah.
Like, did you sell enough CDs at the summit for that to make a dent in what you guys needed to do? Man, that's such a good story.
It definitely started.
It
started there, and then it started circulating. People started talking, started asking me online,
So were you putting them in envelopes and mailing them out and stuff as well?
Well, yeah. I said, I'll drive to your house if I have to.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were quite open to just, like, man, that's cool. You're doing that. And, within a sort of about 3 to 4 weeks, I made enough to take care of everything.
That's amazing, man. That is amazing.
Yeah, and then I went back home.
Because you're like, as you say, like, you don't really know what I mean is, well, you know the business because you did that. It's a hustle. But you weren't really connected. But just with that one event, for that to happen in 4 weeks, that's amazing, man. Yeah. And then Warner's find it, right? Like, you actually get a label come to you.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, the phone call was hard case.
Yeah.
But because I didn't know what Warners were and all they were. I'm actually related to some Warners back home, so I thought,
there was the neighbours calling.
Yeah. But but nah, man.
Can you shut the gate? You keep leaving the gate open.
I was like, man, come and grab your kids. Nah, but yeah, I mean, I think what it did is it planted the seed and actually started, a wave of cool stuff.
What happened there, man? Like, because 2012, like, did you even know to, like, with record companies and stuff, you got to, like, get a lawyer to look over and stuff, or did it not get that serious? Like,
well, I had some friends that look after the music awards, the Māori music awards.
Yeah, and so they gave you a bit of guidance.
Yeah, and she said there was nothing in there that kind of made I should be worried about. And she was right, because I was with them, for a good 5-6 years, and the guys there were cool, man.
What were they? What did it do for you? Like, what eventuated with it?
I think it just really pushed my music. It just made me kind of official. If that made me
fully.
Yeah, it made me look. It made me feel, not just look, but it made me feel like a pro. Like, man, this stuff is on the radio. I never had a song on the radio.
They were getting it right, so they were plugging your tunes on the radio and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
got you on, like, I'm guessing Maya and stuff for a start.
Yeah, Maya and so I was mowing the lawns. I remember this like yesterday, man. I was mowing the lawns. My daughter comes flying out the door and she was screaming at me. I didn't know I was turning the mower down, and she's like, "Oh, your song's on the radio." And I was like, "What? Songs on the radio?" So we had a Honda Odyssey at the time.
Was it My?
It was My.
Yeah, bro. Out of all stations, you probably already know this. Like, a lot of people listen to My, man.
Yeah,
it's not like getting it on a lot of the other stations. It's big listenership, right?
Especially for hip hop. And then I heard it play, and I just kind of I was stunned, man. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is the first time out of Hastings or out of Flaxmere, out of Hawke's Bay, that my songs have been played. But not just anywhere, it's my FM, you know? Like, holy damn.
And you sound like you got, I say, the hustle, the natural businessman in you. Like, surely you go, well, that's a sign I can start, like, trying to go and play different places?
Yeah.
Or did they help you with that? And
Well,
stuff?
no, they pretty much just said, look, people are asking about you now.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, well, I'm going to make some more songs.
Yeah.
And make some music videos. That was a crack up, bro, making the music video for West Side Hoary.
Oh, that's how I found you, man. That track is great.
Yeah.
I think it's opened a lot of doors for you, man. It's just such a great tune. Who made that beat, by the way?
That was Juice.
Juice.
That's my also Juice One. He's a man, but
yeah.
Juice is kind of early days Damn Native. Like, there's is one of his album covers up there, right in the middle, the white one.
Oh, yeah.
But he was behind Smash Proof and early Tyree, Sid.
Yeah, you can tell he's got an ear for a pop hook. Not that it's a pop tune per se, but it's like you play that to, like I could play that to my mum and she'd like the sound of that. It's got that to it.
It's definitely.
But it still hits. It still hits.
Yeah.
Now, you talk about making the video because you can tell in that video there's some real stuff going on in there.
Bro, that was so crack up because I was green as I never made a video before.
Yeah.
So what I did was I went down to the Polytech.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm going to make a video and I need people that got video stuff,
Which local Polytech?
Yeah, the EIT.
Yeah.
Yeah. So EIT had a film course.
Yeah, right.
And actually, this was quite cool too because Chris Graham,
yeah,
he heard about my signing, he heard the song, and he said, look, man, I'm doing a class down in Hawke's Bay, man. Like, you might want to come along. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, what is this? And he goes, I'm just doing like a masterclass sort of inspiring these young producers and stuff. I was like, oh, cool. And I knew him from his mahi with everyone, really.
With everyone, yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's Chris Graham. He's like the flipping champ. Anyway, we did this exercise, man. I had the song, and he said, look, we're going to do this exercise. Everyone, there was 20 future producers, film people in the whare. And they said, look, turn all the lights off. And he said, I'm going to play you the song. Right, and I want you all I'm going to give you all 5 minutes to propose something and how you would approach the song.
Wicked. So you got people pitching to you.
They were pitching right on the spot.
Yeah.
So there was about 20 of them. Some of them were pretty way out ideas, and they weren't really listening to the song. They were just trying to prove themselves as filmmakers and special effects and all this. Right. And there was this one Pākehā guy. He just said, "Look, I've had a pretty privileged life. Like, I've never lived like that, but." If I was to do that, I'll probably start where he grew up. And I'm like, right, this is the dude, bro.
Yeah.
This is the dude,
Yeah.
And we made 5, 6, 7 videos, all for Tautoko, the album,
Who this young student guy was your director?
Well, no, I was the director, but I needed someone that could work the camera and edit.
So he did it all? Okay. Yeah. So he got a portfolio early on as well. That's great, man.
And he started his own company. He was the only one out of that whole class that went on to start his own film company.
Yeah. So it's funny, like talent spots talent and all of that, and like he's the guy in the class that was the one that went on to. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we had zero in common. But he saw my vision. Yeah. And he wanted to do what he wanted to do. And Chris Graham was there, and he was like, man, I want to be like Chris Graham. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
So that's, but filming the video, bro, when we went into filming, was a day out. I told everyone, man, turn up here.
And I just heard you tell your story, but the thing that cracked me up was when you said something like everyone thought, who's this fella? So like, is he blowing hot air or whatever?
Pretty
no
much.
One's going to make a music video here.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone was so skeptic about it. Like, why the hell would you want to shoot any bloody thing in this rugged street? And they, to be fair, it wasn't the prettiest looking street, but I just said, look, I'm going to shoot it here because I grew up here. Yeah. And you guys can jump in if you want. So anyway, it came to the day, and I was like, oh, crap. How am I going to hear the song out loud? Because I was playing it in my stereo.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my God.
Bluetooth speaker ain't going to cut it.
There wasn't really a Bluetooth speaker then, man,
Even one of those small ones.
Yeah,
now.
No one's going to hear that.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, my gosh. So I was driving through town. I was panicking, rang my Wi-Fi. Anyway, I went past this truck, man. And it was like Jonah Lomu truck. Yeah. Had the big subs and everything. And the dude's name's Wedemu. He's a Flaxmere boy too. He's got this place called Big Noise in town. Yeah. There's this big orange truck, man. I was like, man, I'm sure that's got some fat speakers in there. So
Yeah.
I rolled up and I said, hey, bro, if I give you $50, come down the hood and blow it up.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, yeah, when? And I said, well, now. He was like, yeah, cool. I'll see you down there. Because he knew exactly where to come too.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, I opened the back of his truck and then played the CD and was went boom, and everyone was like, holy
Block
crap.
party.
Yeah, man, and then people started coming out of their houses and
Yeah.
what the hell's going on here? Next minute they're like dancing along with the song, and everyone that comes out on the song, they weren't kind of
That was
supposed
organic.
to be there. Yeah, they
Oh,
just
man.
kind of walked out.
But that's so cool because, like, hearing about you teaming up with the dude to put it together, like, I thought that is what you guys envisaged. Like, it was kind of what you envisaged, but it played
Yeah.
out even better. Is that a good way of describing it?
Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah.
We sort of had a plan. We did not
Yeah.
stick to any of it. We just said, I said, bro, we need to come here. And we just started filming. We need to go to the marae. We filmed there, and then we had a skate bowl that I grew up playing in the skate bowl,
Yeah.
but there no kids go down there anymore because they got a new skate bowl.
Yeah.
So I said, well, let's just roll down to the new one. You know, and they didn't know what we were doing. They just
Yeah.
heard the music and they were like, yeah, and they just carried on skating.
So, Mike, because the take is that, and it really comes out in the video, is the idea behind the video was obviously like the lyrics, right? It's like, well, shit ain't perfect here, but we're a community, we stick
Yeah.
together
Hell,
through thick and thin.
pretty much.
Yeah, and I buzz on that video, like not only the tune, like that's a tune I'll come back and actually watch on YouTube because the video, it makes me feel good, but it just so perfectly fits the tune.
Thank you, man.
Did you get did you get it out a lot of places? I suppose YouTube's the place these days. I just realised I was about 20 years out. I was going to say, did you get it on television? But I suppose it's about YouTube views,
It's,
right?
well, I went on television.
Yeah.
I played on Juice like I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
It got featured on quite a bit. Like it kind of was quite overwhelming, man. You know. And
Yeah.
I thought that someone might play it and go, yeah, you know, but everywhere I looked, I heard. I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is pretty cool.
No, something I didn't think about till now, because like sometimes people can just be like the fun police. Did the like literal police or anyone turn up and go, "What are you doing?" Like, did you have to? I didn't really think about that before. Did you just set it up and film and do it and hope you got
Pretty-
away with it? Yeah,
Well, we just did it, and before anyone knew what was going on, we were gone.
yeah,
But this is a funny story, man. There's a place where we're sitting on the veranda of this
Yeah.
house, which is the house I grew up
yeah,
in. And we'd moved long before that, and
Yeah.
you know, I knocked on the door, and I just said to the people that were in there, "Hey, man, we're going to shoot a music video
Yeah.
on the porch," and they were like, "Oh, what? On this porch?
Yeah.
What the hell for?" And I was like, "'Cause this is my house, man." And they were like, "Really? Oh, well, all good. I mean, what is it going to go on TV or something?" I said, "Yeah, it'll be on TV," and they were like, "Oh, whatever." And
That sounds like a Taika Waititi film moment. Is it going to be
Bruh.
on TV? Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be on TV.
But they didn't believe me. They didn't believe me. Anyway, when it actually made it on TV, they messaged me on Facebook and they were like, "Oh man, I didn't know you for real. We could have probably done the lawns or something." Or,
Nah, that's the thing you don't want, man.
Yeah,
That's
hard.
what makes that video is exactly what you said. It just rolled out organically.
Yeah, man.
No one like came and painted the sign in the main street or whatever. It's like it is what it is. You
That
know?
is exactly what it is.
And another thing I hadn't thought of before is because I don't really understand. I know the basics of how this works, but has it monetized on YouTube? Because I think I've
Yeah.
probably clicked it enough. Like, has it got enough views that you've seen a little money from YouTube? And is it kind of even worth it with what they give you?
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't actually see anything,
Yeah,
to be honest. That was a Warner thing,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
which I kind of learnt about, and I sort of thought to myself, okay, well, I need to do this on my own.
yeah.
But, you know, I'm thankful for that journey because they helped me to get my music out.
That's the thing, man,
Yeah.
with the modern industry versus the one that was around about 40 years, that's kind of wound down now.
Yeah.
Is it a catch-22 or a double-edged sword? I don't know what the expression is, but both have their advantages, even though you always hear about big record companies basically robbing musicians, which is true a lot of the time. If you never, a lot of people are never going to be noticed on that large scale otherwise, and I think that's a big dilemma for like your Bandcamp artist or whatever these days is.
Yeah.
Like you're hella talented, but how do you get it out there? You know?
I think the thing is people are too short-sighted. You know, they're trying to get some stuff like straight away. As soon as I sell this,
Click,
straight away.
you mean like, yeah.
You know, but more so if they make music and they put it out, they're just watching the, you know, how much do I get, how
instant gratification.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is a marathon, man. Like for me, that doesn't matter to me, those little whatever, but it's the show, man, where you get that, you know, because when people turn up to your show and they've clicked on your song a squillion times and they know every single lyric, they are part of that show. And shows are where it's at now. I mean, I know you're not doing it for a career income wise, but you want an audience, most definitely. But you want a bit of cheddar if you've had a bit of success as well. Well, that's right, man. There's a lot of hard work, sacrifice, and you would have heard this over and over, even in the mahi that you do. But in saying that, you know, I'm like, well, I've got kids and, you know, I've got a family. And if I'm out all day working hard and I'm coming home zonked, you know, I better come home with something for them. So, you know, it does come down to that, but it's not driven by that. Because we're sitting in, what do you call it? Is it a youth centre that you work in, or what would you call it? Because we're sitting in the music studio part of that now. We haven't really talked about that yet. Yeah. So talk a little bit about here, because I got a question about here related to advice you give them. But what do you do here, bro? So rangatahi. So I wrote a program called Potama, which is basically for young men or young people to explore their culture through music. So what happens is, you know, I learn about the whakapapa of this place with the history, and I learn about these young people and who they are, where they're from, and I sort of teach them a little bit about who they are, and take them to the maunga, take them to the awa, take them to the marae. How many people are here? Are we talking like 20 kids? No, it's not a class per se. It's a case by case thing. You know, I've got you. Yeah. Because these kids, they think they're from LA. You know, they think they're gangsters. They think they're from Compton. You're trying to connect them with who they are. Exactly, but we're using music as the vehicle. Yeah, the same way it actually happened for me. And who refers them to you? Yeah, so there's a few ways that happens. Yeah. This setup here is through the youth justice system. Great, man. Yeah. So is it part of a diversion program to stop them going down the jail system, or it's earlier on, before they it's life skills, man. Yeah. So it's based on life skills, because these young fellas, they haven't been taught none. They just kind of left to run ragged and trying to work things out for themselves, blow things up. You know, so they don't have any life skills, And you want to get them before they enter the system, Well, they already are in the system. You know, it's about giving them skills to navigate the world they live in. But they're not in adult jail yet or anything like that. Not adult jail, no. Yeah, the reason I'm extending this out is because that's my old man's tale. He went into which would have been Borstal or whatever it was called in the 70s, notorious stories. But once he was in that system and his mum said, I don't want anything to do with you anymore, it's just like jail door in, jail door out, jail door in, jail door out. So it's part as well. Yeah. So there. Music is an area of interest for the young person. Yeah. And then I pretty much build on that and give them some skills. Basically, it's about reflection. Yeah. You know, if they can reflect on things, they can write about it. If they can write about it and capture it, record it, make a beat, make a music video, then that is their tool that they can always refer back to. Yeah. You know, so yeah. Even if it's for just mental health and stuff, just being able to have that mechanism to put it down. This is where I am. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm feeling. It's where I'm at. Tika, that there is. You have to remind yourself, even as adults, we have to remind ourselves, that hey, man, we do. When things get tough, things get tough. 2020. Straight up, man. That's everybody's thinking around in circles and had a lot of time to themselves. Good and bad, pros and cons. But if you can reflect on things and figure out what worked, what didn't, how can we do it better, those kinds of things. That's kind of the stuff that we impart on these young fellas to help them to navigate their own world. Because what you referred to before, what I kind of read into you going to New York was your penny drop. I read it, I've never heard you actually say this, but felt to me we'll get to how you ended up in New York in a sec, because that's a good story as well. Is, actually. But to me it was you thought that
someone told you to go to New York to go and see how the real hip hop worked in New York, and you kind of did to an extent.
Yeah.
But what I took away that you took away was that you actually went, hang on a second, I don't want to ape this. I've realised that my own kind of whakapapa and my own culture is going to be a big part of. Yeah. Is that right? Was that quite a turning point, that trip or that holiday, or?
Yeah, I mean, I went with the preconception, Damn Native, man. The early hip hop, like Damn Native, the Upper Hut Posse, DLTs.
Yeah.
They showed us that you can be yourself within this thing we call hip hop.
It kind of went away in New Zealand.
I went away, man. I went away, and when I went, that trip, it kind of reinforced what I was already doing. Yeah. Like, because I'd already had the blueprint, type of buzz. Because, before that, we only saw MC Hammer and Criss Cross and all of that. And, I was young, man. I
want to know how you got... I mean, I don't know how far that album spread. I was in Wellington, but I still tell anyone who'll listen, which is about 8 people I know. No, just kidding. But I still say that KDU is, like, I think it's, for my money, probably my favourite hip-hop album in New Zealand ever.
Easy.
Yeah. But how was that? Did you find it in a record shop in Flaxby, or did someone pass it on to you? Or?
Tribal Syndicate.
Right.
Yeah, Tribal Syndicate was a whole bunch of us. At one time, there was about 30 of us, man. And one of the dudes had that album, Zombeats. He's the producer that I still work with now. He had that album. Yeah. And I had no idea about it, man. I thought Bone Thugs was awesome, Yeah. And when I heard Extremities was the first song I heard, this line in it. Just be patient, brother, and it'll soon come, and don't let the hectic effects of life overcome. Yeah. And I thought he was talking to me. I felt like he was talking to me, and it was like, bro, just keep chipping away, and you'll get there.
Danny's like, I'd love to have him on this, but I kind of get that. I don't know why he's kind of pulled on back a bit publicly, but he's just such a interesting character to me in New Zealand music. He's so, kind of, I don't want to say unsung, because that sounds like, I don't mean that's like disrespectful, but that album is so, this is such a cheesy word, it's so important.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen many docos and stuff, and I've participated in a couple just recently, actually. But I always asked him, is Hypes on this? Yeah. Because if Hypes ain't on this, that's a champ.
So, because if you could, like, without speaking of another man's journey in his life and stuff, like, because they got pretty big there in the, like, that industry side of things for a while. Why do you think he's pulled on back since? Like, just a different life path, or?
Yeah, I think he's on a personal journey. From what I can, pick up about the man. I mean, I didn't know him personally. Like, the dude is a bit older than me. Yeah. But, what I've heard is that he's in a good space. Great. And that's a good thing.
You saying that, like, I talked to a bunch of artists, and because I know that they're on the road hard out too. Like, a lot of people, when you tour really young, that just, because you just have to, like, a lot of people just put that down, like, totally for a while, and then come back to it and kind of figure it out. Where were we with? Oh yeah, great story, because it's like about Daryl DLT as well. Did you actually go up to Auckland to try and bump into him or track him down?
Kinda, yeah. Well, I had this thing. I found out he was from Hastings. Yeah. Right, and I was like, this dude, Change just dropped. Yeah. And we were like, oh, Change, it's the baddest. Anyway, when I decided I'm going to come to Auckland and give this music thing a crack, and I said, look, all I need to do is find DLT. We'll make some beats, be like Dr. Dre and Eminem, and I'm going to kill it. Yeah, that was kind of what I had in my head. First, when I got here, I had no idea where he lived, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I got stuck in a traffic jam. Yeah, hated it, and I was like, man, I was just about kind of like.
So you had no idea where he lived in the whole of Auckland. Well, no one had even told you a suburb.
No, I seen him at the summit years ago. I bought a scooter. Yeah, I bought a scooter to try and learn where all these streets were, because Auckland was I'm from Flaxby. There's one road, bro. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna? So anyway, I ended up on the highway going over the bridge, over the big bridge, and I looked at my gauge. I was running out of petrol, so I pretty much turned into whatever street I could, which ended up being Curran Road. Yeah. And I ran out of petrol halfway up that road, outside his house.
In a city of 2 million.
In
It's
a city
geographically
of 2
huge.
million. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He asked me if I was all right. Do I need a hand? And, I didn't even click it was him. It was nighttime. I didn't even click it was him until I saw.
It's crazy, man.
I went up to the door and I asked. I was like, "Man, you're DLT." And he was like, "Oh, who's asking?" You know. And in his DLT fashion.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, I'm from Hastings, man." He goes, "What'd you come up here for?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a rapper." And he was like, "Of course you are. You're a rapper."
Did he think you'd like purposely broken down outside or something?
I think he did. In hindsight, I think he did. He thought I planned all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he asked me about rap and, so you got any raps? And I always carried them on me.
Yeah.
So I played him some stuff and he just sat there and gave me this ghastly look and said, "Do you know much about hip hop?" I'm like, at the time, I didn't really. I just knew how to rap. And he's like, and then he kind of suggested to me, jokingly, said that, you might want to go to New York or something, learn a little bit more, learn about the culture. And, that was my encounter with DLT.
And then how long did it take till you were in New York?
Probably about a year.
Wow. Awesome. And then I think you bumped into him again and actually said you'd been, right?
And I said I'd been, yeah. And he laughed,
Yeah.
He was like, "Fuck, I didn't think I was serious. I just said that because I just said that."
But they gave you a bit more mana with it, right?
I definitely did.
Yeah.
Because he was like, "Okay, man, I'm listening now."
Yeah.
And I had a song at the time, it was called Hati Kahungunu.
Yeah.
I played that to him, and he just smiled, and he just said, "Fuck, I love this."
Really great.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to dwell too much on this. Like, were you kind of a bit pissed off with him when you left the first time, or like let down, or?
There was, I was kind of cussing him out, to be fair, but only because I went there naive as hell.
Yeah.
I was like, "Man, this is DLT,
Tough
man."
love.
And I learned a lot more hard. I learned heaps more about him when I was away, and I was like, "Oh man, this dude ain't just the producer; he's the dude."
Do you reckon you're stubborn?
Yep.
Yeah. Because to be in New York a year later,
I was super stubborn.
who'd you go with?
So at the time, there was my partner at the time performed for a group called Kahurangi.
Yeah.
And they had a base in Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
So I went there first.
They had a base. Oh, they were performing in the States.
They were performing in the States,
right.
So they were doing shows, Māori shows, Pacific Island show. And I asked her how far it was from New York.
Yeah.
And she said, it's about 16 hours on the train or something at the time. And I was like, cool. So I'll come over there, hang out with you, and then I'll go to New York.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, can I come? And I'm like, well, yeah, because I don't know anyone there either.
Yeah.
And she knew someone there we could stay with as well. So we ended up staying there for about a month.
I just realised you got there pretty soon after 9/11, right?
Yep.
Was there still a bit of that kind of freakiness in the air?
It was crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like, I could feel it. I could feel the wairua, and the place was really, really pody. It was really dark.
Yeah.
Went to the site, and, it just looked like a huge hangi pit.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Really? Yeah, because they hadn't even built the... Yeah.
Yeah, no, she was still smashed up, and I was just like, wow. Just the karakia there, and, for everybody that was there, and for myself, to bless my travels home, or our travels home.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then jumped on a plane. No, sorry.
Jumped on a plane, man, and just said, man, I'm thankful.
Yeah.
I'm thankful I've got somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Than this place.
Yeah. And then I don't like retelling a man's story, but another thing that struck me, and you talking about what you realised over there when you went to like famous hip hop spots and so on, is that you realised you had a lot more connection to your culture already than a lot of the dudes over there. They seemed a bit lost in the spiritual department, right?
Big time, man.
Yeah.
Like the dudes, there's skills and his talent and his entrepreneurialism all over the show. But in terms of whakapapa and history and things like that, man, it was pretty shallow, you know. Well, I didn't come across anyone that knew anything outside of the streets. Yeah. That didn't know about Africa. They didn't know about... Oh, they might have said that, but they don't know where they were actually from and who they were actually from. And
what's a good Pākehā translation of whakapapa, like roots or...
Yeah, your genealogy.
Yeah.
Or your lineage.
A lot of us white folk who came out here on one of the, few generations before, came out on the boats from England or Scotland or wherever it was. Like, we don't have that. I don't have that. Because the students I teach, there's so many different ethnic backgrounds now, and so many of them have such a deeper connection to that than I do or I ever will,
Sure.
So it is really important. I go back to like when my dad got off the boat here, and I didn't really know much before that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, my tupuna, our ancestors,
Yeah.
They were they.
Are you? Does that go back in the Hawke's Bay?
Yeah. Even before Hawke's Bay, even before the migration. It depends how hungry you are for it. It's all there, but it's all
probably
there.
is for me too. I just got to go and look for it.
Yeah, I think that's really important because that's where my power comes from.
Talk about the album now. I guess I'm just looking at the time on the recorder. Has this been a long time in the making? So basically, it's 2020 now. How do I forget that? What a year. It's 2020 now. This came out last year, right? 2019?
Yeah.
And is it the same... I couldn't really figure this out. Like, I've listened to a bunch of the tunes, but is it the same tracks from the 2012 album redone, or are there newer tracks as well? It's newer tracks, right?
Yeah, there's newer tracks.
Yeah. So it's just the same by namesake.
Yeah, it was...
It's a little bit confusing, bro, having two albums with the same name.
Well, the first one was, to be fair, the first one was a mixtape.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And
I'm just on the wind.
And it was quite roughly done.
Yeah.
I didn't have no skill. I just knew how to rap.
Yeah.
I bought a mic and I rapped on stuff. But...
now you know about sonics and production
and like all of that. And I was like, wow. So maybe 3 of the songs that I had on the original album ended up coming onto this one, but there's still another 12, 13 songs that weren't originally on there.
You're chipping away, you got a family, you got full-time work here. How long did it take to put together the new album? Been a few years, I would guess, man.
Well, I didn't, well, from Go to Woe, 2002 to 2019, that's 7 years.
Hang on, now you're getting decades wrong. 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You said 2002. I've given you that. You're getting the decades wrong.
Oh, maybe I just said it wrong because I meant 12.
Yeah.
So, about 7 years from Go to Woe. But I didn't go out to make an album. I just kind of created music. And then I thought I had enough music there, I better put an album out. It took a lot longer. But in saying that, it's more of a life journey for me. It wasn't an album. It's more of a timeline,
No, totally. So you've got... We kind of touched on this already, but you have royalties cheesy, but you've got some really respected OGs and kind of almost greatest of all times as well on the album. You've got Shay, you've got Danny, Damn Native, you've got Scribe. I mean, I'm sure they get asked to do stuff all the time, man. Like, talk a bit about how you got each of them on the album. I think it's really interesting getting that mana from them,
It starts from mutual respect,
Yeah.
but also... kaupapa, so that's, it's like your subject matter or your values as a MC, as an artist, as a person.
Yeah.
That's what resonated, what created the relationship between all of those people. They heard what I was doing, in terms of my direction, and with the music. So it didn't take a lot of really sitting there and convincing or anything. It was more mutual respect.
Yeah,
and those dudes are the pioneers for me.
Yeah,
in my eyes, Scribble he's one of the greatest.
I think he might be the greatest, depending on who you talk to. Yeah,
well, that's right. I mean, like he's definitely great.
He's on the short list.
Yeah, man. Like if he was a rugby player, bro, he'd be probably like Tana Umanga or something. That you can put someone else there, but they ain't going to be as effective.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah. I mean, you're always going to remember that dude.
Yeah.
Danny was the same, Danny was like Jonah, when he played, watch out, and you could
so
say
who's Shay then?
Well, Shay's a mastermind, bro.
No, in the rugby.
If Shay was a rugby player, he'd be Fitzpatrick, bro. I only say that because he's a leader, man.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with anything else. It's just like that dude is just so long-standing. There's no one that can replace him.
Yeah.
He will run longer than everybody else until they all fall over.
I've never heard someone say a bad word about him.
Yeah, bro.
It's
because of his values and who he is as a person, his music. it's healing, man.
Yeah.
You know, it speaks to you.
Have you met his old man? Have you met other people? Yeah. So
amazing,
you get
man,
it right,
bro.
you know. Yeah,
he's amazing.
Yeah.
And you can see this
Polynesian panther.
Yeah. You just see the strength in his calmness.
Yeah.
You know, in his ahua and his wairua. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll spend a lifetime and not be. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I'll spend just my disposition. I'd spend a whole lifetime and not get calm. Shay's kind of that calmness you speak of, eh?
Oh, but everyone has their own superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a superpower too, Brian. I think you're following it.
Yeah, so. That's good. Fate, hey, like, how can you say there's not spiritual forces in the world when, you break down outside DLT's house and then however many years later, I'm guessing the story's 15, 20 years later, you're polite with someone else about who gets the last pork bun and you meet a beat maker you've been looking for.
Oh my gosh, yeah. One thing is this journey in hip-hop has taught me is to trust my instinct.
Yeah.
You know, because instinct is everything. You know, this world that we live in today, it tries to tell us to rely on our brains, you know, and we're not feeling, you know, it's more of a thinky world that we live in now that affects our feelings. But, you know, as a MC, as a freestyle MC, as a writer, as a performer, as a person, as a Māori, all of that, instinct is everything, man.
Yeah.
You know, and the more I trusted it, not just musically, just in my personal life, my professional life even.
Yeah.
It's never really put me wrong. So, you know, there's a lot of stories about how instinct has just put me in the right place where I needed to be. And I've recognized that straight off the bat. So it's, I don't know what that is. I just think that I'm supposed to be doing something, and the more I do, the more I see what I'm supposed to be doing.
But then we still need to explain how I've only told the punchline, which is that you were looking for someone and you ended up in a bakery.
Yeah. And Mangere. Yeah, his name is Tipene. He's
Yeah.
an incredible beat maker. Yeah, a Kong's Bakery. Apparently the best bakery. Well, of course, Margaret's going to say they got the best bakery. I had to try it for myself.
You got to.
You know, Tiene, he knew that too.
Yeah.
We were there, and boom. He said, "What are you doing up here?" I was like, because I didn't actually know him. No, I passed, you know, like, I was like, "Oh, you're Tiene. I know who you are."
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you're Tipene, because he's quite close with Scribe, you know?
Yeah.
So they grew up in Christchurch together and stuff. I didn't actually know that. I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense why he produces some of his music.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, man. Like, I knew about you through that. And, you know, online stuff, but actually face-to-face, it was very different. Very different.
But you weren't there looking for him that day. You'd just been kind of looking for him in general.
Yeah, in general, yeah. And then the conversation happened, like, bro, what are you doing with music? He's like, man, nothing right now. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And, yeah, man, we were just eating pork buns and chicken kebabs and creating music, so...
Yeah, well, the last one, really, but I didn't hear is he got the pork bun that day. What did you get instead?
I got...
I'd go potato top pie or something like that.
I got the
myself.
best producer in the Southern Hemisphere.
Excellent. Who's very, if we didn't get this part across, he's not like a big noter or an out in public guy.
No.
He's like a stealth ninja who appears occasionally.
People don't find TNA, he finds you. And much love, TNA, man. Bro, you know, we've created some massive music, and I can't wait to share. The first one's already out, Ariki.
Wow, so you're energized already after releasing the other album. Great.
Yeah, Ariki's already out.
Where can we find that?
Yeah, on all platforms.
Yeah.
Spotify.
Sounds like we're ending. We're not quite yet, but
YouTube, all important. Of that. And there's another one dropping on Friday. I don't know if we could say dates or whatever on here.
Yeah, do what you want.
Friday the 2nd of October, Warrior drops.
2020.
Yeah, man, 2020.
This thing will be up for years. And, you know, your humility strikes me as well, but we got to mention that you won a Māori Music Award for the album, right? Was that a pretty special moment?
Monumental.
Yeah.
Not for, well, yes for me, but the journey up to that point, it was long and arduous, man. And I just couldn't, like, a lot of the people that were pivotal in that album were in that room for other reasons. They weren't there for the album. They were there doing their own stuff and attending and all of that. And when I stood up, I could see them all, man. Like Tyner, like Magic, like, Sid was there. There's a whole bunch of people, producers were there. Adam was there. Tribal Syndicate was represented there. My dad was there. He's on the album too.
I was going to say, is your old man still around? And he was there. Great.
Yeah, and he's on the album, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's on a song.
Is he a muso?
Well, no, not per se, but he fed me the music that I still go back to.
Yeah.
So he's responsible for my flavor, I guess.
I noticed, man. I've not really heard another person go back as far as, like, in terms of rappers at least, but it makes total sense. You talking about the influence of, like, Prince Tuiteka and all those, like, all that Māori show band circuit that did, like, the thing in Sydney and back here, and, like, to me it sounded like that learning to be an entertainer, an all-round kind of stage person.
Oh, most definitely.
Is that the music that you were talking about that Dad had in the house?
Yep. Billy T. James, Prince Tuiteka.
Yeah.
Now, those two...
Tell a crack-up joke and then just play a beautiful song.
Oh, you're like, this dude, man, what can he do?
Yeah.
But it was about the timing and about the craft that got you to that point. You might have heard that joke before.
Yeah.
100 times maybe.
Yeah.
But you still appreciated the way he dropped it, man.
Well, it's like street jokes, jokes that everyone tries to tell. Certain people can show people. That's what they do.
That's a superpower, man.
It's a superpower.
Some people just do it well. Some people struggle.
Yeah.
And they still just remember the person that did it well, not the other person.
I notice, like, because you said you went to Kohanga Reo and stuff, so it's not like you had no Māori language in your earlier years, but you seem to have been making a real effort lately, and kind of publicly as well, for like people who follow you and stuff to kind of learn te reo. How's that going, bro? Like, because you've got tracks where you rap what sounds like you speak it fluently.
Yeah, there is. Te reo Māori is something that I've always drawn to. But I wouldn't say that I learned to speak it at an early age, because it was more, I was around that environment a lot, and tikanga Māori, like the way we do things Māori.
Yeah.
Like things like karakia, pepeha, and memorized stuff is different. But as I got older, it became sort of a little bit uncool, and people weren't doing it as much. And, and my mum stopped speaking, and then we started not going to the marae that much, and these kinds of things. I was like, man, what's going on? So right through my teenage years,
and everyone at school, like you're saying, wants to be Biggie or Tupac.
Well, that's right, man. It was not cool to be Māori, and I was like, wow. So it wasn't until I left school that I started really delving into that, and starting from zero. Really, I just knew that there was something, and it's still there. The journey for me. If I learn something, I'm going to write it in a song straight away. Like I'm going to document it the same way my ancestors did.
Can you converse with someone? Are you better at speaking or understanding? This isn't so much about te reo and your culture. I mean, it's really that's an important part of asking about this. Yeah. But just like I'm fascinated about how people learn languages in general. Like,
I mean, to be super honest, man, there's heaps of things I can do a mihi or a pepeha or say certain things. Commands in te reo Māori, but for someone that's proficient in te reo, I struggle. It's intimidating. It's like someone that's a brilliant freestyler, and you're just trying to jump in and just hold your own. It's nerve wracking, man.
Well, speaking of nerve wracking, I'm not really nerve wracked, but I had to like watch your video and transcribe this or like write it down and how I think the Māori was spelt. But if I said to you, "Kare taku kōrero Māori I te tino pai," is that what you were telling us to say?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means just my te reo Māori is not that flash.
Awesome.
Yeah, wow.
Even flash, is that word actually... I thought you were using flash as like a slang, so actually... Which word's flash? Because I recognise a bunch of those words.
No, it's more how would you use it? Because people...
Yeah.
Māori to English doesn't translate directly.
Kōrero Māori. So I might have spelled kare. How's that? I spelled it K-R-E. I'm not sure that's right. Anyway.
Kaore taku
kaore. That's why I've not pronounced it right, because I spelled it wrong.
Tino pai, so it's not that good. But we would say not that flash,
Hey, probably finish soon, but it's a bit of a deep one. But it's because we talked about the youth guidance, the work you're doing earlier on. We didn't end up talking more about some of the struggles Flaxmere has, but it's kind of well documented, and you've talked about it at length anyway. Like, with this is a big question, you can answer it however you want. Like, with the people you see come through here, whether it's like big picture or like small everyday things, what are some solutions to like some of the traps that people are in? Just a nice light question to finish off.
I think one of the most valuable things that I know that the boys retain is this thing they're called the STAR model.
Yeah.
So the STAR model is like star, STAR.
Yeah.
You know, and the STAR model is something they can apply to everything. So it's a acronym for stop, think, act, reflect.
Yeah.
So stop, think, act, reflect. A lot of the boys don't have
impulse control.
Impulse control. So okay, stop, hold up, man. Let's have a think about this.
Yeah.
You know, do, and then, man, what went right, what went wrong?
Yeah, right.
You know, so you can apply that to everything. The way you tie your shoes, the way you brush your hair, the way you do anything. The STAR model is something that it's a tool that's out there for anyone to use.
Yeah.
But I use it as an adult, you know.
Did you have it? Because I was thinking, at that age, like, I didn't get into a heap of trouble, but I know I learnt that later in life than a lot of people do, man. Like, have you kind of always had that?
Well, I think instinctually,
yeah,
but
it's good to have.
When I came here and I started working for Mind, so this is the organisation I work for here, Mind, under the Graham Dingle Foundation, this dude named Stephen Boxer.
Yeah.
Now, this dude has been working in the sector for a long, long time. He knows his stuff, and that's part of the training. When I saw it, and I saw, man, the STAR model, that's so easy to remember.
So easy to remember, and it just gets you out of so many potentially bad situations.
If they forget everything else that they learn, the STAR model, so they did a study, AUT did a study, and they interviewed all the boys over a certain period of time, and they keep coming up. You know, so in terms of retention, because you can say, I taught them this. Yeah. But you don't actually know if they're going to retain that. Or you know, that day they're going to forget it, you know, an hour later. Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, I totally get it anyway. But even just like if they stop and remember that acronym and then just remember that they were here and things were going well and somewhere that they were being looked after was telling them that. It's like, well, that came from somewhere that I'm getting good things from.
Most definitely. Yeah, that's the vibe. That's the vibe.
Yeah.
So that when they reflect on that, they're like, yeah, man, that's actually how I dealt with this last time. Let's apply that to this. And
that's awesome, man.
You know, so that's something that anyone can use out there. Not just people in trouble, you know, not just young fellas, but anyone out there could use the STAR model.
So that's great, man, because that's the micro stuff I talked about. This is perfect, bang on. Just one's enough, you know. But then the broader, like, big picture stuff, I kind of asked Daryl this. I can't remember where we got to with this, but you know, it's sort of like the unfuck the world thing, to be honest. Like, what's something kind of quite crucial for Indigenous people that New Zealand might change at this stage, you know, or work on or get better on?
Man, I really think it's self-efficacy. Yeah. You know, and I say self-efficacy because it's about self-belief, man. Yeah. You know, we live in a country where tall poppy syndrome is crazy, running rampant. It's just everywhere. You know, your teacher, your dog. Yeah. Everyone is scared to do something amazing. Yeah. You know, let's just take an example. Israel Adesanya.
Right. Oh man, now that fight on Sunday, I was so proud of him.
But it's not just that fight; it's his whole
thing.
Thing. You know, this dude believes he is the best and he is the champ, and he will do it, and he delivers every time. And the thing is, people go, "Oh, he talks too much. You shouldn't say that. You shouldn't say that." But when you believe as much as he does, that's the only way you get to the height. He believes that to a point where he's willing to die for it. Yeah. You know, in the same way Muhammad Ali was, the same way Michael Jordan was. You know, this dude he won't stop until he gets it. Yeah. You know, and you know, if I was to take someone like Scribe, that was the advice he gave me, man. Yeah. Just be undeniable. You know, be undeniable to a point where they have to choose you. They have to include you.
Hey man, it's been awesome. It's been really great actually. You're moving back to the Coromandel. Are you going to do this work from down there? Or yeah, great. Yeah. You're going to come drive back up and...
Well, the thing is, there's kids down there too. So
of course there is. Yeah.
You know, for me, I've done this stuff in Hastings and Flaxmere and Waikato. Yeah. In Auckland, and I'll be doing it for the rest of, you know, as long as those are the three things I'm passionate about, man: music, culture, and people.
Enough said. That's a good place to end. I'll reach over and shake your hand, bro.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, man.
Ngā
I'm walking with the Oddity. I'm walking with the Oddity. And I'ma bring the gods with me. Yeah, gotta aim for the stars. Fight core, they don't wanna buy it. The pod talking to the Oddity. I'm walking with the Oddity. When I come, I'ma bring the gods with me. I'm in it. Gotta aim for the stars. Fight core, they don't wanna buy it. The pod talking to the Oddity. I'm walking with the Oddity. When I come, I'ma bring the gods with me. I'm a Marty from the Wops Bay. He tried to tell me what to do, man, I say what, bae? I must admit I had my days of Mr. Know-It-All. Respect the past, make the future, that's my protocol. I go to war, let the world know who we really are. Feel the spirit of my Tupene and the Urupa. My inspiration, my father, Hapu Tamariki. Most of my life, I kinda felt like something's kinda missing. It's feeling missing, then I learned about my fucker papa. Gatika hungu nuko taki tumu toku waka. Do the haku with my brothers, uncles, and cousins. Handy is kinda buzzy, knowing you're part of something, the murder of this country. And yeah, I started with nothing, but had plenty in spirit. Lyrics is out of limits, man, I flow in the feeling. From New Zealand, no tear to all represent. Lot of pride and comfortable in my own skin, my own skin. Gotta aim for the stars. Fight core, they don't wanna buy it. The pod talking to the Oddity. I'm walking with the Oddity. When I come, I'ma bring the gods with me. I'm in it. Gotta aim for the stars. Fight core, they don't wanna buy it. The pod talking to the Oddity. I'm walking with the Oddity. When I come, I'ma bring the gods with me. Hey, so when you're trying to be American, there'll only ever be one Dr. Dre or Eminem. Just look around at the country that you living in. This is your final, ain't no point trying to pretend to damn. You listening, it's a battle that you never win. So think about what you really showing your next to kin. Like Richie Valens been international ever since. La La Bamba, and he did it all in Mexican. He kept it real cause he's proud of his cinnamon skin. Setting the president's driven by the vision when music is the medicine. Someone's knocking at the door, let him in. Late night in the studio like Letterman, just trying to get it in. And yeah, I started with something that uplifted my spirit. Lyrics unexplicit out of respect for my parents from New Zealand, no tear to all represent. Loud and proud and comfortable in my own skin, my own skin. Gotta aim for the stars. Fight core, they don't wanna buy it. The pod talking to the Oddity. I'm walking with the Oddity. When I come, I'ma bring the gods with me. I'm in it. Gotta aim for the stars. Fight core, they don't wanna buy it. The pod talking to the Oddity. I'm walking with the Oddity. When I come, I'ma bring the gods with me. I'm in it. Gotta aim for the stars. Fight core, they don't wanna buy it. The pod talking to the Oddity. I'm walking with the Oddity. When I come, I'ma bring the gods with me.